The sun always rose slowly over Redstone Valley, spilling its molten gold across the endless plains the same way it had for generations, unbothered, unchanged and indifferent to the man who watched it every morning from the porch of the Lone Creek Ranch. Jackson Hale stood there like a statue carved out of dust and memory, the brim of his worn-out hat tilted low, hiding eyes that had seen more storms, both the kind that howl across the grasslands and the kind that tear a man's heart apart, than any person should. The ranch stretched behind him, vast and quiet, scattered with old fences that groaned in the wind, barns that whispered stories of better days, and the ghosts of a family he once had but could never get back. Ever since the accident 3 years ago, Jackson had lived in a silence so thick it felt alive, a silence that sat beside him at night and followed him like a shadow during the day. His routines were simple, almost mechanical. Feed the cattle, check the water troughs, fix the broken gate, eat what he could stomach, try to sleep, fail to sleep, repeat. People in town said the rancher was a good man, a loyal man, a man who deserved better than the loneliness that clung to him like a second skin. But Jackson had stopped believing the world owed him anything. He spoke to no one unless he had to. He avoided the town, avoided the chatter, avoided the life he used to know. America moved on fast, too fast, but he remained exactly where he had been left, rooted in the soil of heartbreak. And so, when the dust trail appeared on the horizon, that quiet evening, 6 silhouettes stepping out of the fading sunset like figures from another world, he didn't think much of it at first. Outsiders occasionally wandered in from the highway, usually lost or broken down. But as they drew closer, he realized these weren't travelers. They walked with purpose, grace, strength. 6 women, all beautiful in different ways, one fiery like summer, another calm like winter, one sharp-eyed like a hawk, and another soft as mist. They moved in perfect formation, long coats swaying, boots striking the dirt as if they belonged to destiny itself. And then something happened that froze his breath in his chest and kicked up a dozen unanswered questions inside his head. They stopped in front of him, lowered themselves to their knees, and bowed as if kneeling before a king they had searched for a lifetime to find. Jackson didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. The world felt like it had tilted sideways. The wind died. The birds stopped singing. The earth seemed to hold its breath. The woman in front lifted her gaze, eyes deep, determined, and carrying a story heavier than mountains. "Jackson Hale," she said softly, "we finally found you." That was the moment the quiet rancher's world, once silent, once empty, once broken, began to shift. Not gently, but violently, like fate itself had kicked open the door he had refused to touch. And without understanding how or why, he sensed everything in his life was about to change. Forever. The ranch had never felt smaller than it did when Jackson led the 6 strange women into his living room, still struggling to process the sight of them kneeling before him, as if he were someone important, someone more than a lonely rancher, with a past he didn't talk about. They removed their coats, revealing a mix of rugged leather, hidden weapons, strange symbols stitched into their clothing, and expressions that told him they had crossed miles of trouble to get here. The leader, the woman with steel gray eyes and a scar that traced her jaw like lightning, introduced herself as Kayla Varon. The others followed: Mira, the quiet one with moonlight in her gaze; Shay, who carried herself like a wildfire waiting for permission to burn; Riven, with a voice smooth as velvet but eyes that missed nothing; Tali, gentle but restless, as if she could hear things others couldn't; and Nira, youngest, nervous, but watching Jackson with a strange reverence that made him uneasy. They claimed to belong to an ancient guardian faction called the Red Crest Order, a name Jackson had never heard in all his years. But Kayla didn't seem surprised. "You weren't supposed to," she said, unlocking a metal case she'd carried from the moment they arrived. "Not until now." Inside the case lay a weathered insignia, an eagle made of obsidian and silver, wings spread wide over a flame-shaped crest. It pulsed faintly with a deep red glow, as if alive. Jackson stepped back instinctively. The symbol felt strangely familiar, triggering an echo of something he couldn't quite place. Kayla watched him carefully. "This belonged to your father." Jackson froze. "My father was a rancher," he replied. But even as he said it, doubt tugged at his voice. He had never known his father well. The man was a shadow in his earliest memories, a mystery wrapped in silence. And now these women were claiming he was something more, something dangerous, something powerful. Kayla explained that his father was once a high-ranking guardian who protected a hidden frontier, an invisible boundary where the natural world met forces that humans were never meant to face alone. His death, she continued, had triggered an ancient prophecy. The torch would pass not to the Order, but to the lost bloodline, the Hale bloodline. And that torch, according to everything they had uncovered, now belonged to Jackson. He laughed at first, not mockingly but in disbelief. Him, a protector of mystical boundaries? A chosen heir to a secret order? He could barely sleep through the night without memories clawing at his throat. But the women didn't flinch. They had followed trails, fought ambushes, survived storms and enemies he couldn't imagine, all to find the last Hale. And they weren't going to leave without him. As Kayla spoke, a sudden tremor rippled through the floor, small, but unmistakable. The cattle outside stirred violently. Horses screamed. The lights flickered. The peaceful rancher's life, once quiet and predictable, now trembled as though the world was warning him. You cannot run from what's coming. Mira stepped forward, placing a hand gently on his arm. Her voice trembled with urgency. Something ancient has awakened, Jackson, and it's coming for you. For all of us. You can either face it with us, she glanced at the others, each silently pledging their loyalty through their eyes, or face it alone. Outside, the wind howled in a way Jackson had never heard before, like something was whispering his name across the fields. And deep inside him, beneath the pain, beneath the grief, beneath the years of silence, something stirred, something powerful, something his father had hidden, something he had tried all his life to ignore. As the 6 women watched him with hope and fear intertwined, Jackson knew the truth. The quiet rancher he had been would not survive what was coming, but the man he was meant to become might. And as he took a slow breath, the world seemed to shift once again, waiting for his choice.